honestly, I don't want the fame, I don't want the prestige. I just, for myself, want to say that I'm world champion. If I win this thing, the first person I'm going to go to is going to be my father.
To have my poster on in the Rio every time I walk in to play the main event for the rest of my life, that would be really awesome. If I were to win the tournament, the first person I'm going to go and see is definitely going to be my father.
From the Penn and Teller Theater at the Rio in Las Vegas, Nevada, this is the 2013 World Series of Poker main event final table presented by Wild Turkey. Let's take a look at our Wild Turkey payouts right now. Still two places to be decided, $8.3 million plus for first place. Second place worth over $5.1 million. And right now we are looking at Ryan Reese with a huge advantage over Jay Farber. The younger of the two, he has more career earnings, and I like his nickname better, honestly, Norman.
That's why we put it in quotes. Panda is just, it's just an animal. It's just a cute animal that does nothing.
We were this close to having this tournament come to an end just before the break. Ryan Reese had Farber all in. Farber then picked up the straight to double up. But Reese still with a huge advantage. You see almost 154 million for Reese to almost 37 million for Farber. During the break, I guess on cloud 9 is Jay Farber, right, Antonio?
Yeah, I mean, that couldn't have worked out better. He doubled up right before the break and was able to take a little break and kind of shift the energy and perhaps, you know, get the cards going his way.
That's Antonio Esfandiari, three-time bracelet winner, along with Norman Chatham, Lon McCarron, Kara Scott out on the floor.
And the blinds have gone up.
Blinds right now, 600,000 is the small blind, $1.2 million the big blind.
Too much work.
Jay did tell me that the physical and mental strain of the main event is underrated. It has been kicking him around the block the whole time he was playing the 7 days.
It is so draining to play poker for so long, and every single decision is such a crucial decision.
Farber comes out winning this pot.
In 2001, it was a river 9 for Carlos Mortensen when he had a straight draw flush draw against Dewey Tomko that gave him the title. Here, a river 9 keeps Jay Farber's hopes alive to win that main event title.
Here was what we thought would be the end. Raise from Reese. A re-raise all in from Farber. Reese had the best of it, but then Farber hit the straight. And Ryan Reese had to pay him off. And so now Farber with almost 40 million chips, but Ryan Reese still with the advantage, and that break came at the perfect time. And it looked like Farber was just folding to get to the break, but then he managed to double up in the final seconds.
Yeah, let me just correct myself. It was a 9 on the turn here for Jay that gets him the king high straight. A 9 on the river for Carlos Mortensen gave him the king high straight in the 2001 championship.
2.4 million from each player. You see a flop of 8-6 jack.
Check. Check.
Check, check. 7 of spades on the turn.
It's not often you see the pre-flop raiser check back when it's checked to him on a heads-up pot in position. But a lot of times when you flop something that has showdown value but you can't take a check raise, sometimes you just check it back and hope to play a smaller pot.
Is there value for Reese to be a little more careful here to make sure he takes pots off Farber, or just full steam ahead? I mean, Farber has to be feeling like he's a little bit on a rush right now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there was a huge momentum shift there, and you know, every pot is worth so much. The blinds have gone up now, so Reese has to keep the aggression on like he has, but he has to be pretty careful. He doesn't want to give up too many pots.
5, 6, 7, 8 jack on the board.
Check.
Now a 9 or a 4 makes either player straight.
Bet.
Reese
5.5 million.
And they're right back at it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, indeed. $5.5 million river bet, and Farber releases, and there is the 4. The straight for Reese.
On the break, Phil Hellmuth echoing Antonio's sentiments. He believes that Ryan is playing much better than Jay Farber and expects him to win this quite quickly. And let's give Phil Hellmuth his props, by the way. I know you don't want to, Antonio, but he recently got his 100th World Series cash. That's the all-time record. Just to put it on perspective, this November 9, which included J.C. Tran, a total of 97 World Series cashes. Phil, all by himself, 100 World Series cashes.
That does hurt me.
25K chip taken off the table. 3 chips in play. The big one, the most active one right now, the $500,000 chip, the red one.
Antonio, I got to give you your props. You do have 28 World Series cashes. Of course, most of those came out of the country or against tourists in town for a zirconium jewelry convention. But you have 28 cashes and 3 bracelets. That's pretty impressive.
Wow, I love that you know how many cashes I have and I don't.
Farber will take it with the raise. Jay Farber building confidence, and you get to see it in his face, right? You can just see a little extra
for sure.
Step.
His demeanor has changed. He's got a little bit more of a smile back,
but still in a severe disadvantage.
Right. He's still a clear underdog at this point.
Raise to 2.4 million.
It's a minimum raise, with a big blind being 1.2 million.
Reese has shifted his raising size. He's now min raising. Before he was doing a little bit more than that.
Farber calls. 9-6-8. Another connected board.
Check.
Ryan Reese now.
Check.
Checks back.
We've seen a little bit more of this check so far.
4 of hearts.
Card doesn't really change anything.
And a lightning bolt just before the break. Seemed to have settled both players down just a little bit. $3 million from Farber on the 4 of hearts. And Reese commits 3 million chips.
And it's interesting, when Reese checks the flop and then just calls the turn, you can basically take monster hands out of his range. He doesn't have 2 pair. He doesn't have a set. He doesn't have a straight.
Check.
They both check. Farber says 4s. Reese had 2 paint cards, and Farber will take that pot as well.
Both of these players in their first main event, and both of them played generally without a whole lot of danger coming into day 7. Ryan Reese says he was all in and at risk 4 times during the main event, and Jay Farber says he was all in and at risk twice during the main event.
Heads up play, which is all you've seen tonight, is different from most poker that you will watch. You'll see any 2 cards flying around. Really shouldn't fold the button very much.
No, of course not.
And
I think I know what's doing it for Jay Farber. I saw him having an All-American Dave shake there, and that will shift anybody's momentum.
Can't flirt with the rail. Either of us is fine, just not the rail.
I thought it was you.
I don't think we look alike. I'm much better looking than he is.
It's on you, Jay.
I was distracted. I'm sorry.
I know. I don't blame you.
Reese wants to play.
We have a raise, 2.5.
Reese needs to shift the momentum right now. Farber is the one with the raise, $2.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, he's got back up to 40 million. Just a couple more pots here and there. If he gets up to 50, 60 million.
You want to keep him out of double-up range. King, Trey, Deuce, 2 clubs. Reese has the action. He checked. $2,800,000. call. Reese treads lightly. Turn card now. 9 of diamonds.
That's pretty much a blank. I mean, on that board with the king out there, the 9 of diamonds doesn't really change anything. So when Reese check calls out of position, you know, we saw him do this with absolutely nothing earlier just to try and take it away on a later street. But I think he has to have some piece of that board.
About 5 million?
So, yeah, it's a pretty significant bet. I mean, if Farber has a middle pair, let's say he has 2 10s, he got called on the flop, the king has to worry him a little bit. Now, if he actually has that hand, I wouldn't be surprised to see him bet, just because he probably knows that it's hard for Reese to actually have a king.
6 million from each, and we will see a river card. 23 million in the middle.
So we'll obviously learn more information on the river.
There's the board.
And puts a club out there. So if Reese was holding on with a 3 or a club or a king, that's a pretty dangerous river card. Now this is very interesting if he bets here. So by betting here, what is he really representing, right? He raised pre-flop, he bet the flop, he bet the turn. Now he's firing big on the river. So you can take 10s, queens, jacks out of his range, right? He's got to have ace, king, aces, maybe pocket deuces, king 9, or a bluff. I mean, he's got to have a pretty big hand here. It's possible he rivered a flush, by the way. And it's also possible that he's just stone cold trying to steal the pot.
Gee, would he do that?
We've seen him do it before.
Saw Jay's dad, Herbert Sr., a very proud look on his face. There he is again.
This is a pretty significant bet, 13 million. If Reese calls this and loses, it's a huge turn of events. Reese does not love his hand.
Jay has not made it easy on Reese at any step of the way.
Yeah, and I think if Jay has a hand like king queen, I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a value bet of this nature.
We may get a question again from Reese. Inquiring minds.
So again, this is where you have to go into the tank if you're Reese and try and size up your opponent, try and get a read, try and get a tell. You know, go back to the moment where he got bluffed with the 6 and see, you know, is he doing the same thing? Is he sitting the same way? Is he breathing the same way? What is he doing different than that moment? And if he's doing the same exact thing, well, then it's more likely that he's bluffing. Wow, it feels like he might be up to it again.
Wow.
I mean, there's really only a few hands he could bet like this strong. So, I don't know. Something doesn't feel right again, Lon. Oh, that smirk is not good, by the way. That's usually a big tell. That's usually a sign of weakness there when you give that smile. I think I would call.
Does that other hand play into your decision?
Of course. You know, what is he? I mean, that little smile right there makes me think that he's weak.
Now, Jay's dad on his feet. The longer Reese takes, the more you wonder, could this be the final hand? Jay Farber very committed to this pot. And there's the call. And it is Reese. I'm sorry, Farber takes it with the flush.
Wow, what a turn of events.
Farber rivered the flush and got paid off. So that other hand, if it did play into it, came back to bite Ryan Reese, and he has guessed wrong twice in critical moments.
And by the way, Farber has crept up to 65 million.
And this time, Antonio, Ryan Reese calling him just with queen high, thinking that it wasn't there.
Well, I mean, you know, calling with queen high though is a little aggressive just because your opponent could be bluffing with a better hand.
Is this the bluff smile? Nope, not this time. That is the smile of a man with a 65 million.
I gotta tell you, Antonio, you know, I got in front of me, I've been reading Zachary Elwood's Reading Poker Tells, and he talks about when a player displays a small, arrogant smile after bluffing. It's usually, I'm not a worried look, and that smile is usually an unconscious attempt to communicate relaxation and confidence. He agreed with you. He would have made that same call off of that same smile, and both of you would have lost the pot.
That's right. And you know, the other hands that we went through really didn't make sense. So a flush obviously does make sense, and I'm curious what he would have done had he missed the flush. But the 9 did come on the turn, so he had a lot of showdown value there.
So now Farber, not that it's going to happen, but you know, if he doubles up, they switch chip positions.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, really interesting to see how this plays out. And that was interesting because he laid out chips to do a 3-bet and then just called. And so that's usually pretty weak.
All right, here's the flop, 5.4 million in the middle. 9-5 ace.
I mean, really quick, going back to that hand, I think Reese was just trying to be a hero. I mean, did he really hit Queen Jack? He just called him with Queen high?
Queen Jack, if I saw correctly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hands where Farber is bluffing with the best hand, you know, on accident. And I think he was just trying to be a hero. And that was kind of an emotional, let me be a hero call.
After Farber's check, Reese, that's 2.5 million, and now Farber getting a little aggressive here with the raise.
7 million.
Wow, it seems like momentum is in Farber's corner.
Has been ever since we came back from the break.
Right, and remember, he almost wanted the re-raise pre-flop and didn't, so. Wow. Guy is on fire.
Jesse Sylvia, our second place finisher to Greg Merson last year with the eye black. All right, well, as we mentioned, this man has a lot of good coaches in his corner. Let's go down to Kara Scott. She's with one.
I am indeed. I have Sean Deeb with me. Now let's talk about Jay's comeback. He's got a lot of momentum right now. What's going his way?
Well, obviously you can see by the hands, Jay's really never had the best hand. Even when Reese tried to bluff, he had the best hand. So, I mean, there's just really nothing you can do. And heads up, you're playing every pot. Every pot is very large, and so you kind of need to make a hand, especially when Reese is just betting every street. Jay's trying to call him down, but he's just never had any equity.
What are some of the main things that you have to think about in heads-up poker to really take this down?
Really, you got to think of how your opponent's been playing. You see, Reese has played a totally different game than how he played yesterday. He had a whole day worth of prep, and he changed his whole style. He's been a lot more aggressive. He's been betting. He just hasn't been folding as much. And Jay's tried to switch it up, too. So you're seeing a lot of adjustments as people go back to the rail, getting hand updates and trying to learn from that.
Well, if Jay can come back and take this down, what kind of party can we expect from him?
Regardless, it's going to be an amazing party. Jay is the best to party with in Vegas, so can't wait to have a good time.
Thank you very much, Poker Pro. Sean Deeb.
Go from pandemonium to pandemomentum is what
By the way,
has now.
What a shift.
I don't want to tell Sean Deeb how to live his life, but if he's going to dress like that, he just might as well coach the New York Jets.
And Farber is a little closer now. 72 million chips.
Boy, his best position in quite a long time.
I mean, imagine being Reese. You're there, you have your opponent all in for the title. He sucks out and then makes an incredible comeback to 72 million. I think he had less than 13, 14 million at one point.
So Ryan Reese now has to regain control. He has no break coming anytime soon. Unless the panda comes out and knocks over the table, then we might take a break, but that's not going to happen.
I have a raise to 2.5.
What composure, what control Farber has shown. And now he's the dangerous one. Ryan Reese backpedaling. game does have its ebbs and flows. You just have to survive them as best you can. J.C. Tran did that last night. No pair throughout the whole night, and you know, he managed to hang on till 5th place. Reese needs to be smart about it here, and he'll take it. Well, okay, so you can re-raise with ace.
Eight deuce of hearts. That is not the school of Phil Hellmuth.
So we are about to play hand number 239 at the championship table. We've played 67 heads-up hands so far, and you see the history of hands heads-up. 17 last year, 119 in 2011. And the guys last year were just too worn out to play heads-up any longer.
After the three-handed, I think they just threw in the towel. They couldn't wait to get it in with king high and queen high.
But these two guys have a lot in common with last year's two guys in terms of the way they handle themselves at the table. They're a delight to be around at the table. Greg Merson, Jesse Sylvia last year, Jay Farber and Ryan Reese this year. You got to like the way they handle themselves.
Already terrific ambassadors for the sport. Deuce, Trey, 4. Both players with $2,500,000 in the middle. And their antes adds up to $5.4 million.
$3 million.
A bet of $3 million from Jay Farber and a quick fold.
And this doesn't happen very often, where the person that just called pre-flop is just now leads into the pre-flop raiser on the flop. But I actually like this play just because you take offensive against your opponent.
Well, this has been Jay Farber's level so far. Of course, the double up just before the break, and then coming back from the break. Ryan Reese has had his hands full after feeling like he was running over his opponent up to that point.
Well, if he loses this, he will never, ever live this moment down.
But he's a long way from that. Still with a 50 million chip lead is Ryan Reese.
You know, what's funny is a lot of times, even though Reese is in the driver's seat, he has more chips than him, he believes he's playing better than his opponent, he still doesn't feel as good as he should. Just because he had so many chips, he had his opponent all in, he had a chance to close it out, and now all of a sudden his opponent's sitting there with 70 million. You kind of give up a little bit of, you know, I don't know the exact right word for it, confidence. You know, your whole aura kind of changes. Your mojo basically gets shifted.
Well, you can step away from that and think about it at this point. Well, if I get to this level and I've got a chip lead of 120,000 to 70, or 120 million to 70 million, you know, would you take that at the beginning of the main event? But yeah, so
of course. But if you go back to tonight, before the tournament started, and you know, you told Reese that you're going to shift the positions and you're going to have 120 million, Farber's going to have 7 million. He's going to be incredibly happy. But to go from having, you know, 180 million and your opponent having 14 million or whatever, it's emotionally painful.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I got it already.
And this was the hand in which Jay Farber rivered the flush. He gave the smile. He was a little distracted by the rail and the people in the crowd. And then, thankfully for Farber, Reese made that call with queen high. Farber take that big pot, and the momentum shifting over to this Las Vegas VIP. Reese opens for 2-5, and Farber gives it up.
Well, the queen high hero call is a bad sign, but I still think Ryan Reese, and we'll see how resilient he is, and we'd see even more so if he actually falls behind in the chip count. But I think he's steady enough, and he seems to be mature beyond his years, where he can just shake it off and go back to doing what he was doing before.
Well, Farber was down to 14 big blinds, 14 million chips at his low point. And now look at him rallying back, sitting with almost 72 million, raising here to 2.5 million.
Feels 3-betty. 3bet.net.
I have a re-raise. 6.2.
Reese at 6.2 now. Farber
And I will win the ball.
gives it up.
Wow. And Reese just 3-betting with 8 deuce of hearts and then 8 3 of spades. That's pretty strong.
And doing that will rebuild his confidence.
Well,
well.
that also,
That's what he needs.
you know, when you do it with hands like that, also when you actually get a big hand, you are more likely to get action.
We've got this championship heads-up battle covered for you. From Phil Hellmuth to Marianella, Antonio, and Kara Scott. Myself and Norman Chad bringing you all the action from the Penn and Teller Theater.
And those 6 announcers represent a total of 16 World Series bracelets.
Amazing, isn't it?
Phil, Antonio, me,
Proud of
Lon,
them.
Marianella,
Oh.
Kara. 16 among us 6. That's about 2.5 per player or announcer. I don't think Lon has any yet. But
Had to go there. And the most recent final table would come from,
I can't hear you.
yeah, Reese with a raise of $2.5 million.
But it's a circuit event. You know, we love the circuit, but Antonio and I, you know, we don't play at that level. We play here at the big one.
All right,
we
you
play
have a
here
final table at
under
the
the,
World
the
Series
big
of
tent.
Poker. A re-raise by Farber to 6.2 million as he's feeling a little 3-betty.
Will we see 4-bet, 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bet? These young guys, they're crazy these days. Oh, it looks a little 4-betty.
Look at this.
We have a re-raise.
Big stack of red.
By the way, Farber's just spent 3-bet twice, and he's perhaps a little fed up with it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's 3-betting here just to take a stance.
Yeah,
and Reese knows this.
Reese has to
And
be
so-
careful.
5 is the bet.
And so, by the way, you know, as we were talking earlier, when you do it with hands like 8-3 and 8 deuce, then when you actually do get a hand, you're more likely to get some action, and that's very important.
And he does get Farber to lay it down. Reese had the best of it with Queen 10.
Now, Reese is really impressing me these last few hands.
Man.
Ryan Reese now with almost 128 million. We mentioned Ryan Reese cutting his teeth on the World Series of Poker circuit. Other people can do that as well.
An impressive 4th place finish in Lake Tahoe for Lon. That's pending a Nevada Gaming Commission investigation, which is routine anytime there's done any usual betting activity in the state. Come on, how'd you finish 4th?
You don't know how big the field was. No, it was plenty big field. The circuits draw a great crowd. It was quite a lot of fun up at Harvey's in Lake Tahoe, and the staff did a tremendous job.
And that was a big field for you. It was more than 500 players,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was indeed.
I will win the ball.
So, no, I was thrilled. My first reportable cash. I'm on all the databases now, and I can die happy. Jay Farber looking for a way back into this match. He is creeping closer and closer. Ryan Reese trying to keep him at arm's length.
And Reese is just running all over Farber. I mean, he's outplaying him, and he is really putting the hurt to Farber here.
So sometimes, I know he had the bad break when Farber turned
We have a
the
raise.
straight to stay alive, but sometimes you got to beat your guy twice over. He beat him once, and now he's got to go beat him again to actually win the title.
I will win the ball.
Reese's raise will take it again, and something about that 8 in Reese's hand.
He's good with those 8s.
8 deuce, 8-3, 8-7.
And he is becoming more beast-like now, and with every pot that he drags, Ryan Reese becomes more and more dangerous. And there is the beast. I'm not sure where the beauty and the beast right there. Okay.
We have a raise.
Maybe we should leave the jokes for Norman. Huh?
Beauty and the beast. It was a natural. It was a layup. Barber raised it to 2.5, and a call from Ryan Reese.
I mean, Reese is on a mission. He is angry, and he wants to put the hurt to Farber.
Reese with his patented little flailing check.
We have a bet of 3 million.
Farber continues.
But if you noticed, as his hand went up, he quickly, before he grabbed his face, put it right back down on his hand.
You saw a tell in
Usually
progress.
those uncomfortable shifts of body usually say something.
He caught himself, though, and that says more, probably. Ace of spades on the turn. Reese checks it again.
Something tells me that he has a hand here.
So you didn't see Farber as uncomfortable?
No, I mean, he had a quick shift in body movement. And, you know, he was going to put his arm in one position. All of a sudden, he just shifted it real quick. Now, that could be because he's stone cold bluffing or he flopped an absolute monster.
5.6 million from Farber. And Reese looks interested as well.
Oh, wow.
And here comes tip to stack over, but a raise in progress.
That brings the Reese the Beast gallery to its feet.
13 million.
This is a crucial pot.
Not just in chips, momentum, confidence. So far, Reese has weathered the storm that was Jay Farber at the beginning of this level. He seemed to has found his footing once again as Ryan Reese. Fold, and Ryan Reese will take that pot with top pair, top two pair, aces up. Farber had the jack.
I think that's a good spot to, I mean, he flopped a really good hand, but I think that's a spot to just kind of check back the turn. You know, if your opponent has a draw and misses on the river, he's likely to fire into, you can just bet.
So you mentioned Farber and maybe feeling uncomfortable about where he might be putting that on. Let's take a look at. He's going up, came down.
Right, he was
almost like a mistake, right?
He just, yeah, and I mean, he flopped top pair, Jack 10. I mean, that's a really big hand heads up.
Raise to 2.5.
Well, we talked about your points, running good, reading your opponent. Ryan Reese is back running good.
Yeah, I mean, he just turned two pair there. That was a very good spot to turn for two pair. And by the way, Farber had a pair of jacks. He's very likely to pay him off on maybe at least one more street there if he doesn't catch his two pair.
Ace, 8, deuce.
So I'm curious, Antonio, you've actually noticed several things from Jay Farber that might be tells, and you haven't talked about anything about Ryan Reese. Is Ryan Reese in this area more accomplished? He's just not doing as much that you can pick up stuff on?
He's just a little more calm and confident, I think, and so he's giving away less. But when he bet, remember when he bet really fast, and I said he actually has something here, he did the same exact thing when he had the ace king. So yeah, he had trip sevens, and so that was really the only thing I picked up on him so far. And you know, it's a lot harder to watch him on a screen than being right next to him. I think that when you're right next to somebody and you're watching them, you can learn so much more, because you know, every single time somebody bets, they either want you to come or want you to fold, and so they give off some sort of energy.
I've been sitting right next to Lon for 10 years, and I haven't really learned that much about him. I am attracted to him, but I haven't learned that much about him.
Panda Cam from the angle of Jay Farber's mascot.
The mystery of Lon McCarron.
Indeed.
What does Lon do when he's not with us, Norman Chad?
That sounds like a reality show.
Rarely not with him is the problem. Oh, we saw Reese stacking chips again in that previous hand. Now Farber leading up 2.5 million. And
3bet.com.
Another re-raise.
What's the difference between 3bet.net and 3bet.com?
I actually don't know. I know there's a clothing company, 3bet, but I don't know if they actually have the site or not. I would hope they do, because this would be a pretty good plug for them.
Well, they owe you.
Yeah.
Well, Jay's not going anywhere.
And Reese has really been just chipping away at Farber. Got him back down to less than 50 million.
Who would have think we would have Reese chipping away at Farber in this tournament just a half an hour ago. Farber makes the call. Very entertaining heads-up match so far between these two finalists. Deuce 8, ace, 2 hearts.
So remember, Farber just called a re-raise pre-flop, so it's unlikely he has a big ace in his hand, because with ace-king or ace-queen, he's most definitely re-raising, I think.
Checked. Tray of diamonds. So Reese maybe feeling Farber's weak.
Yeah, and you know, his check on the flop is a little suspicious, but Farber looks kind of weak here.
5 million.
It's very possible he has a couple of big face cards and just completely missed the flop. Yeah, he doesn't look very comfortable with his hand. He's probably got Jack 10.
He does give it up.
King Jack, yeah.
He's with pocket jacks. Second time we've seen him with that hand and dragging a pot.
The man knows how to make hands.
And the best there ever was, tweeting us, Doyle Brunson, Reese has a hand every deal. Poor Farber hasn't had a chance. And that from Texas Dolly himself.
Doyle can reduce most situations in life to 10 words or less. He's such a sage. That's so true.
I mean, he's right. It's, you know, it's supposed to be hard to make a hand heads up, but it seems like every other hand, Reese has a hand.
Doyle is born for Twitter, even though I think he was born about 65 years before Twitter.
Doyle Brunson. Doyle, you're a legend. He's the first poker star I ever met. You know, first time I came to Vegas, I saw Doyle playing in the Bellagio high stakes room, and I went up to him and I asked him for an autograph. He's the only autograph I've ever requested in my life with Doyle Brunson. Shook my hand and gave it to me. Signed a $1 bill. Still have it.
Farber calls Reese's raise. Doesn't matter what Reese does these moments. He seems to be stacking chips. 2 aces and an 8.
Dead man's hand.
Close to it.
$3 million.
Check for Farber. $3 million from Reese.
Oh boy. Raisy daisy. Oh. Sam Farha in progress.
7.5.
So now this is really interesting because Farber just called Reese's pre-flop raise. And now he's check raising on an ace-ace-8 board. So when you check raise on that board, you basically are saying I have an ace. That's the story you're trying to tell. If Farber had a big ace, certainly he would have raised pre-flop. So you can pretty much take ace-queen, ace-king, probably even ace-jack out of his range. And we've seen him 3-bet with almost any ace tonight. So, you know, it's kind of interesting to see if the story he's trying to tell is actually true. And of course, we'll find out more information as the hand goes on.
There's your dead man's hand. Aces and 8s on the board.
Well, Bill Hickok, of course, was holding that in 5-card draw when he was shot to death.
Nobody's quite sure what that 5th card was.
No, I remember reading a great book, Ghosts to the Table by Des Wilson, where he tried to figure out what that 5th card was. Nobody knows for sure.
After Farber's check, Reese keeps hammering. 10 million gets Farber to fold.
Yeah, I mean, Farber's story just didn't make any sense on the flop there, and Reese just picked up on that.
Well, you know, Ryan Reese, like many of the November Niners, was one bad run out away from busting on day 7, but his ace-queen held against the ace-10 of Chris Lind, sending Reese, the beast, up the leaderboard. Yeah, it is a cheap call for Lind, and he has Reese at risk, but Reese in good shape here for the double up.
Only a 10 knocks out Reese the Beast.
The river card, another jack. Yes. And Reese will keep his seat. with a hefty favorite, but when you're all in, you never know what's going to happen. Another tweet from Bill Simmons. This quasi-live World Series telecast is great TV. I'm riveted. Megatron Nowitzki just lost a ton of momentum. Got this go all night.
That's a great call by Bill. Megatron, he's wearing the Calvin Johnson jersey, but Ryan Reese looks like Dirk Nowitzki. By the way, Ryan says that the 4 moments he was all in this main event, the most nerve-wracking moments of his life. You could see it in his face that time, even when he was ahead, just how pent up he was and what a blow would have been if he was thrown out of the tournament at that moment.
Farber calls the...
He re-raises, I think.
Yeah, oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, he raised the button, Reese 3 bets at 6.2, and now he's re-raised at 12.5.
12.5.
There's not many hands that Farber is going to fold here, I think. I mean, once you put in a 30-year stack, you really just kind of have to go with it. And we just see him just get back down to 30 million. I mean, Reese has just really picked him apart.
And he's cut him in half.
He was at 14 million below. Farber went up to 72 million, and now you see him right around 30.
He's gone.
Yep. Ace 9 for Farber. Suited 10 tray for Reese.
And that stops a winning streak of Ryan Reese.
Both of these guys have been streaky in this level. So Farber up to over 38 million. 3 hours and 10 minutes of play. Heads up.
Takes a lot of brain power to play so many hands. I mean, there's so many decisions in heads up. It's very, very draining.
He originally from, speaking of Texas, Dolly, Doylestown, Pennsylvania. He was very young when the family moved to Santa Barbara. And he worked his way to Las Vegas for his profession. Now professions, maybe. Reese would have raised 2.5 million. And he will take it.
It looks like he's getting a little frustrated again. Farber. He had a lot of momentum. He got back up to 70 million. Now he's kind of dwindling away.
The light is out of his face.
And he feels like Reese is probably running all over him.
And that was Ryan Reese's 4th 8-high raise pre-flop that has taken down the money pre-flop.
And look, you have to give Reese a lot of credit. I mean, he played so solid yesterday, picked up some key hands in some really crucial moments. And today, I mean, he has shifted gears in an excellent way. I mean, he's playing very good heads-up poker.
Look at this.
That might have been the
Larry
first button
Walker is in town. Well, Farber had the worst starting hand in Texas Hold'em. 7 deuce offsuit. Reese with a suited ace.
So that's our first walk in about 80 hands of heads up.
Yep.
And you know, Dirk Nowitzki is near retirement. Mark Cuban's very smart. He signs Ryan Reese. Doesn't tell anybody he's Ryan Reese. Just put him in for Dirk. And Dirk continues to play. I don't know if he can play basketball well. But the Nowitzki legend would continue in Dallas for another 10 years.
I just can't say that.
I'm not sure if Ryan's got the power
to back.
Dirk did. Reese raises. I'm not sure if Farber wanted to fold again, but he thought, I can't fold 2 hands in a row.
Nope,
it looks like the other way.
.org.
Well, you got .org, .net, and .com.
He's gone.
Yeah, Farber 6.7 million with ace 10 of hearts gets Reese to fold his 9-5 offsuit. First, very rare thing at any championship table for everyone to fold around to the big blind. Certainly more rare heads up, but when the walk happened here, it was fun, but not as much fun as Mark Etienne McLaughlin made it last night. He got into the pattern of doing the Lambo leap every time he got a walk, and it happened 4 times.
It's a miracle he did not hurt himself on one of the 4 leaps. He reminds you of Gus Frerotte, who once the Redskins quarterback, who after scoring a touchdown headbutted the wall of the stadium. That pretty much ended his career. Mark Etienne, though, not a big fan of U.S. football.
Dodgeball. You go dodgeball, that's when you get Mark Etienne's attention. So, yeah, quite humorous last night, and it certainly was at a time when Mark Etienne needed a little uplifting of his spirits. 10 ace 5. Farber opened, Reese called.
We're just going to say SCB from now on. Standard continuation bet. SCC, standard continuation call.
Well, it's not a continuation bet call.
Yeah. Okay, not my best material.
Deuce of diamonds now. The crowd getting fired up. Reese's team now starting to feel it once again as his chip stack rises. Reese check called the flop, and will he check call the turn here as Jay Farber bet 6.6 million.
So Farber's certainly representing a pair of aces or better. If he had just a 10 in his hand, there's really no point in betting again this much on the turn when his opponent called with an ace out there.
And there is the call. 24.6 million in the middle. Another deuce.
I mean, that's what you call a total blank.
Both check.
Reese is going to win the spot.
Farber already has muck as Reese shows a 10. 10's up. And Ryan Reese has his mojo back and has Farber once again into the danger zone.
Wow, he's got a lot of momentum back.
We have made 7 payouts. Here is the Wild Turkey payout list for what's to come. Still over $13 million yet to be awarded. Second place, $5.1 million. First place, $8.3 million. And the gold bracelet worth $500,000. And history. You become a part of poker history, becoming a world champion. Ryan Reese very close to that. He has been even closer to that earlier in this evening, but could not seal the deal. We'll see if he learned something from that.
And he's got Jay Farber again down to about 22 big blinds here. As lopsided as it's been since that earlier time in which Jay had to go all in and stayed alive.
$2.5 million from each. They see a flop of 4, Jack 9, rainbow, all different suits. What rainbow means, both check, turn card, another 9.
Farber looks a little fed up. Kind of leaning on his arm.
Well, no matter how many chips he picks up, Ryan Reese just comes back and starts chipping away at him. I mean, it is just amazing how Reese has been able to really have his way with Jay Farber. Save for that miracle straight that he hit just before the break.
But as Sean D pointed out earlier, as Doyle's pointing out in that tweet, not a lot of cards for Farber tonight. It's been all cards for Ryan and not much of a chance for Farber.
Ace of clubs.
Check.
Is that a white flag? That's what Reese is thinking.
I mean, it's interesting because Reese checked back on the flop, fired the turn, and is now firing the river. So he's basically saying he can beat a jack or better. Now Farber.
He calls. A call from Farber. And Reese had the 9 for trip 9s. And Doyle was right.
Man, the guy is hot. I mean, you know, I don't know what Farber's doing calling with 4-3 offsuit out of position there. That's just a bad call.
Yeah, short stacked, and now he's put himself in a horrendous position. Now he's down to 10 or 11 big blinds.
His lowest point of this heads-up match.
I mean, yeah, he got a little frustrated there, but you can't really overcome that. You flop one pair and you hold on, and a lot of times it's not good.
Jay Farber feeling it. May come to an end any moment. Reese the Beast, the chant going through the Penn and Teller Theater.
I got an email from one of our viewers, Tom Clear, Grand Rapids, Michigan. He's pointing out that Kirk Gibson might have been the original Beast from Waterford. They both went to high school in Waterford. Kirk Gibson and Ryan Reese, also Michigan State grads. And our reader telling us, our viewer telling us that Gibson never made the November 9, but remember in 1988 he made the October 9 and hit a 2-out around the river, heads up against Dennis Eckersley.
That was a painful one for the Oakland A's fans. Reese will take it again, and maybe a little Hall of Fame mojo for Ryan Reese, because of course Tom McAvoy from Michigan, before he moved his family out to Las Vegas to become a poker pro. He was an accountant in Michigan, and his daughter told a wonderful story at the Hall of Fame dinner about Tom McAvoy wanting to move the family out, and so now maybe another world champion from that part of the world.
He's got to take 10 more big blinds away from Jay Farber, and Ryan Reese is the titleist.
And number 86 of Heads Up goes to Ryan Reese. And if it just, I mean, we focus on what the winning hand is, but if you keep an eye on Farber's hand, as you've been seeing, and of course you, Norman, that there's nothing much there to crow about.
No, he's not getting much. But, you know, he's being outplayed. I mean, there's no question about it that Reese is playing phenomenal poker and has Farber on the defense. He has him on the ropes.
Down to 10.9 million is Jay Farber. Ryan Reese as close to this world championship as he has been. All in from Farber. Reese will release. And I think we'll be seeing a little bit of that. Finally, Farber picks up a hand. We saw a lot of that, actually. He picked up some big hands early last night when we were 9-handed. Yeah, the Pandas are quite quiet right now. Quite a different story behind Ryan Reese. Reese will open for $2.5 million, and all in for Farber. And Reese folds.
Our last 5 champions: Peter Eastgate, Joe Cata, Jonathan Duhamel, P.S. Hines, Greg Merson. One of these two will become our 6th straight 20-somethings. And that tells Antonio that the window has closed on his opportunity to win the main event. He will turn 30. You're turning 35 later this year, right?
Yep.
Which, if my math is correct, is halfway to 70.
That is correct.
You're done.
But when I get to 70, you'll be what? 104?
Dead. No, dead.
By the way, Farber just shipped it with Jack 9 there. I like that.
And you reminded of Joe Cata, another Michigan world champ.
That's right. So we could have 2 Michigan world champs in the last 5 main events.
Now this would be the comeback of the century.
Farber, 15 million now. Reese with just under now. It'll be updated, 14.2 million.
And more than a 12-to-1 chip lead for Ryan Reese. And Jay Farber hanging in around 10, 12 big blinds.
2.5.
Oh, I think he's doing it. Yep.
Call.
Yep.
That's
All
a
in
confident
and a call.
call.
That was quick. Pocket pair
Ace
for
king
Reese.
versus queen 5.
Ace king against queen 5.
Ace king versus queen 5.
Both hands are suited.
I messed up once this whole time. I just made hands every time.
Ryan Reese has been in this position before. Can he seal the deal now?
Do I hit the 5 or the queen? I want to hit the 5. I don't care, actually. I just want to win.
I think Jay Farber just said, I'm going to hit the 5. That's great positive thinking.
Every single fucking playing great.
Ryan Reese.
You're playing great. He's had everything.
Again, a heavy favorite to take this bracelet with Jay Farber
If you
all
win this
in.
hand, it doesn't matter. So you just keep it up.
Wow, that moment before the flop comes.
So, 5's my favorite card in the deck. So
The bracelet, first place money, the fame.
I don't actually care.
Farber with little choice but to shove there.
Jack 10 and like that hand was a 9. I had a pair, but like
This just may be the moment that Ryan Reese has dreamed of. Here is the flop. Jack 10 and a 4.
Queen is no good.
Huge flop for Ryan Reese.
So Farber has to hit his 5.
The queen would give Ryan Reese ace high straight Broadway.
2 cards to come. 2 cards between a world championship and Ryan Reese. Chance Corna, Poker Pro, helping out Jay Farber. Turn card now. Tray of clubs, and now just 1 card away from winning this main event is Ryan Reese.
Ryan Reese said he was the best player at this table. He thought he was destined to win this. And now, if he can dodge a 3-outer on the river, he will be the 2013 main event champ. A 5 and a 5 only keeps Jay Farber alive.
Tears already in the eyes of Ryan Reese. Disappointment written all over the face of Jay Farber. And now the river card is a 4. Ryan Reese has backed up his claim of being the best. He is the 2013 world champion. I guarantee it.
He's not just a beast, he's now the world champion beast.
What a performance by the amateur Jay Farber. Nobody gave him a chance, even though he came in with a deep stack to begin the finale. But Farber surprised everyone. He was the leader heads up, but could not overcome the skill, could not overcome the cards that Ryan Reese had in this heads up match.
Let's fucking go!
He believed in himself. He made other people believe in himself. But for most of the poker world, nobody believed until right now.
We did it! Let's go, Let's go! Good work, kid!
He did it, Antonio.
He sure did. I mean, look, he deserves it. He came in here believing. He played very confident. He played with, swagger. I mean, he really did it. I think he played fantastic heads up. I think he completely demolished Farber. And, he ran very good. But in those key spots, I think he played very, very, very good.
Take it in, bro. Take it in. So fucking proud of you, man.
Ryan Reese accepting the congratulations. He'll soon have the bracelet. We hope you enjoyed our wire-to-wire coverage of this main event championship table. For Norman Chad, Antonio Esfandiari, Kara Scott, Marianella Pereira, Phil Hellmuth, and our entire very talented ESPN crew, I'm Lon McCarran saying congratulations to Ryan Reese, the 2013 World Series of Poker main event champion.